I'm Rory Schlein, Australian international speedway rider. 3 months ago I suffered a spinal injury, 2 fractures, a shattered vertebrae, and I've had 2 rods and 8 screws inserted into my back. This video's a kickstand to get me back where I want to be, and that's racing a motorbike. Yeah, it was a Sunday afternoon, and I was out in Heat 1, number 1 riding for my Polish club in Poland, and felt good. Had a practice the day before and had a new engine from a tuner, and you know, everything felt really good. Had been on really good form, and like I said, everything just felt right at the time. And you know, we went out for Heat 1. Made a reasonably good start. Probably didn't make as good as one as I expected, but you know, we were running second behind Freddie Lindgren, and you know, went down the back straight. Pretty content where we were. We knew we had speed, so I wasn't really in too much of a rush to do anything silly on the first lap. And we entered turn 3 pretty fast, and before I knew it, I was collected from behind from my teammate. At the time, I really didn't know who it was. It wasn't until someone told me, but literally ran into the back of me, and it straightened me up very quick, and I accelerated very quickly, even quicker than what I was travelling. That's what speedway bikes do. And went in full noise. I tried to bail off as quick as I can. It's pretty instinct to get off a motorbike if you know you're in trouble. And before I knew it, I was tumbling into the fence. It was unfortunate that the bike went in first, and the bike, or the force of the impact, exploded the airbag, and it lifted it up off out of its natural position, and I hit the armco in behind it flush with my back, and it hurt a lot. I wasn't knocked out. I wish I was. The pain was instant. It wasn't like it got more and more. It was from where it'd go, and I knew I'd done something serious, because that pain was. I've never had anything. I've broken collarbones, I've broken legs, I've broken arms, even broken my back before, not in a bad way, but fractured it before, and it was nothing like this. Yeah, I knew I was in trouble. When the paramedics obviously got to me on the track, I was a bit distressed and squealing like a girl, really. But yeah, I could feel everything at that point. I could feel my legs, which was good, but I was curled up in a position that it made it difficult for the paramedics to get me on the spinal board. While they were trying to inject me with some morphine and stuff like that, they tried to get the neck brace on and move me onto the spinal board, and it was then I was in so much pain, and it was just like someone threw a switch. The pain disappeared instantly. I didn't panic at first, but then when I realised I'd got pins and needles and complete numbness from more or less my belly button down, yeah, I'd say I started to freak out really bad. I can't, it's not even, there's not words to describe it. Just thinking about it now, it makes me feel a little bit funny, especially in my back, but it was more, it wasn't even about the racing, it was more, my life's just been turned upside down within a second. And while it was all going on and I was just, you know, freaking out, it turned, they turned me, rolled me onto the spinal board, and it was at this time they straightened my legs out. And as they straightened my legs out, I started to get feeling back in my legs, which was great. But then obviously the pain come back, so it was just really messing with my head. I was crying and all sorts of stuff, and it hit home really quick because I weren't thinking about anything else but my kids and my missus. It was so many things were going, like, will I be able to pick my kids up again, things like that. It just really just made you look at life completely different. And then I was on my way to hospital.
Was lying in bed watching the updates on the phone, and that race came out that Rory was in that race, and then there was a big vacant time. You know, there was no results coming through, and Lynette knew something was wrong. She tried to ring him and she got hold of Peter.
Yeah,
Peter answered his phone, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I rang Natalie. Well, I got onto the computer and it said that
he'd been injured.
That he'd been injured, but in words in Polish that I knew it was pretty bad. So I rang Natalie and said, have you heard anything from Rory? He's been involved in an accident. She didn't know anything. So she raced upstairs and got Piot's number, and I rang him, and Piotr told me it was bad, and that he'd ring me back, and that he was on his way to the hospital.
I got to the hospital and still in quite a bit of pain. Over there, their pain relief is not as good as what we would expect it to be. So, you know, I was in quite a bit of distress, and my mechanic Peter was there, and I had some people from the club who'd come there who organised a specialist to come and look at me and look after me. They didn't mess around at all. They knew it was serious, obviously, from the, you know, losing feeling of my legs on the track. They had me in a CT machine instantly as soon as I turned up. I can't remember how long it was. It didn't feel very long, but I had the surgeon literally leaning over me, telling me that I'd fractured my L2, complete fracture, and it was unstable, and I'd shattered my L5, which was the more worrying thing. And they said that my spine wasn't stable, and they said we need to operate to realign and stabilise my vertebrae in my spine. So I was sort of thinking, oh, okay, it's operation, and then they more or less said that they tried to, you know, reassure me, saying it's a standard procedure, but they also said there's a good chance that I may lose the permanent use of my legs after the operation. If anyone knows, it's a spinal injury. It doesn't matter how much they want to say it's a standard procedure, it's still your spine. And the vertebrae was placing pressure up against my spinal cord. They then told me that shattered bone fragments had gone into the spinal canal, which was causing that caused the numbness in my legs, which I had to remove. And they found fragments in my lung and my kidney. So that was when it started getting serious, and they just said, yeah, we need to operate, and we need to operate now. So I made a couple of phone calls to my family, and one I can vaguely remember, the other one I can't. I still don't remember what I said to my dad, but I was just more or less weeping on the phone. It was hard because there was no one there. I just had my mechanic. I didn't have my fiance, you know, any of my family there. And pretty much all they knew was I was going into theatre to, you know, stabilise my spine. So as much as I was freaked out, I bet you they were too.
We waited and waited and waited, and then Rory rang and said,
just before he went into surgery.
Before he went into surgery, he said, "Mum, Dad, I've made a decision to go ahead with the operation. Oh, sorry.
You can imagine the position we were in, where, you know, we're 13,500 miles away or whatever it is. You want to give your son a hug, you know, and you can't. As soon as that happened, that was about 3 o'clock in the morning, I suppose. We both didn't go to work the next day, and we organised Lynette's flight. So within 2 days she was in the air on her way to England, and then obviously to Poland. Yeah, so, you know, you've just got to, you know, we were very upset, and there was a lot of emotion floating around. But we had to get on with the job at hand, which was get Lynette there, you know.
I remember coming to. Anyone would know if they've had an operation, you feel pretty groggy and sort of don't know what's going on, and it was the first time I'd ever had an operation, so I really weren't knowing what to expect. And when I sort of got my senses, I had a lot of people surrounded, like doctors and nurses, and they were talking Polish, and then the professor leant over and asked, can you move your legs? And I was still trying to get me whereabouts, really, and the first thing I did was, more or less, I had an itch on my leg, and I just pulled my leg up, and then it hit me. I was like, I can move my legs, and I didn't really care at that point. They were rambling on something I don't know, and I just looked to the nurse and I just said, just pump me up for as many drugs as you can, because the pain started to come back. And so yeah, and then I woke up in the morning. Obviously they put me to sleep again and woke me up in the morning, and the professor came and told me that they had inserted 8 screws and 2 rods in my spine. I hadn't seen any pictures or anything like that of it, so I didn't really know how long the scar was, or, you know, what they had done, really. All I knew was I had 2 massive tubes hanging out of my back, and I was just looking forward to seeing my missus, who was due to fly in that morning. So it was just, I didn't really care about anything else. It was the whole fact of being able to know I can walk again. Until someone has that sort of taken away and then given it back, you just don't know. You just can't fathom what that feeling's like. So, so yeah, I was just overwhelmed then. I wasn't thinking about racing. I weren't thinking about anything, but just seeing my missus, and, you know, just feeling a bit normal. And you know, went down and had the drains removed. It was only an hour operation, and come back and got the full extent from the professor, and my missus was there and pretty much laid there for the next 10 days on my back. It was on the 3rd day they got me up just to stand up and take a few steps, which which was pretty gnarly, because at the time I still had quite bad nerve damage. It was affecting my right leg, so there was a few issues there that was starting to get me worried. But again, I still weren't even thinking about that. And I'd say within them 10 days, I was finished. I never wanted to set foot. I never wanted to jump on a Speedway bike again, because I never wanted to go through that again. Yeah, I just don't want to ever relive that and go through that ever again.